But then I went to the Sistine Chapel, the Cappella Sistina, and it was incredible because there was very few people there. You know, for me, Michelangelo is the greatest. Somewhere they sent me to Rome to photograph Italian actresses, one of whom was Alessandra Mussolini, 17-year-old Italian actress. They said, you know who her grandfather is? And so I photographed her on Via Appia Antica. This was the late 80s. Bambini, say it loud and it's like music playing. Say it softly, it's almost like praying. This is many sides to the, my personality. So there's some works here that are just humorous and pop, and then others which are deeper and have more of a contemplative, more of a spiritual quality. I always wanted to be an artist, so I stopped paying attention to my academics in school. When I was very young, a bambino, I stopped listening to the teachers, and because I just drew and sit in the class and drew. And then when I was 17, I went to art high school and I learned photography there. They had a photo class and I fell in love. Because you can have people create these tableaus and work with people in a group, and I love that collaboration. And then I love the quiet part in the dark room. So the technique of photography is very important to me. Printing and the quality of the printing. So what you'll see here in the gallery looks very different from what you see on a screen. I was so happy to be there, working. That was the most important pop magazine, pop culture magazine in the world, by the most important pop artist. So he was my favorite artist. And I went and said I'm a photographer, and he liked my pictures, and so I started working for the magazine. So they wound up taking the last portrait of him before he died. You know, that was like university. That's where I really learned. I remember them all. There's a story and a drama with each photo shoot. I love working with musical stars, and I like the movie stars and the pop stars. I put myself in their place, what would I want to look like, how would I want to be portrayed. It's nice to have these aspirational beings to a certain extent, you know, not above God, but just to have heroes in music and art, which takes us out of the world for a while and brings us into another world where we can have enjoyment. I'm telling little bits and pieces about the person, so like with Britney Spears, I photographed her more than any other photographer, from the very first photo shoot she had to her last one, her last music video. So I got to know her, and so telling different stages of her life. The Italian Renaissance for me has been the biggest influence in my life. This is why Italy is my favorite country in the world. Going to the Sistine Chapel the first time, I was 21, and it was my first job ever where someone put me on a plane and sent me somewhere. They sent me to Rome to photograph Italian actresses, one of whom was Alessandra Mussolini, 17-year-old Italian actress. They said, you know who her grandfather is? And so I photographed her on Via Appia Antica. This was the late 80s. But then I went to the Sistine Chapel, the Cappella Sistina, and it was incredible because there was very few people there. I went an afternoon during the week, and I was crying. I was like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like it. If it's still astonishing today, imagine when it was first made. Those people who are not used to even seeing paintings, they must have just thought it was like a supernatural experience. But for me, it still is. So I can't imagine 500 years ago what this must have been like. Incredible. It's one of the greatest achievements of mankind. You know, for me, Michelangelo is the greatest. He's also a pop artist because he's a voice of the people. So you can go to Japan and you can show them, you know, that part of God, the creation of Adam, and they recognize it. So it's known all over the world, and that's really what pop art is. And they were all took this soup can and something that everyone knew and painted it and put it together. But Michelangelo made a painting that became known as much as the Campbell soup can. It's known, so iconic through the world that everyone recognizes instantly. So he's really a pop artist. The Bible describes the fallen world and is fallen now. And now we have 8 billion people, so we see it, and we have the 24-hour news at our fingertips all day long. It's always been that we're dealing with the same issues that the Romans, now we go to the Cineplex and we see the movies full of violence and murder. This excites us the same way it excited the Romans, so at the Colosseum. So have we grown spiritually and morally since those times? I don't think so. We've grown with technology, and that's replacing God. And we can't let that happen. We have to put God first. Technology is not God, and we're putting all of our faith into technology. And that's why we see the world going in even further and more confusing and dark times. I hope it provokes feeling. I hope it provokes thought. I hope it provokes a smile maybe, or laughter, or a moment of escapism. This is what I'd like to provoke in people. There's maybe some I wouldn't take today, but no, I have no shame in my game.